Matt, as I was driving here, I'm getting pinged all over my Instagram, all over YouTube. Russell Brand was just arrested and is being accused of committing physical crimes against women in the UK. I got to tell you, I was expecting this to happen to him. He's been very political over the last few years, okay? This guy's done a complete 180 with his life. I believe what's happening to him is the same thing that happened to Andrew Tate or anyone that speaks publicly against certain policies, certain foreign policies, whoever's really speaking out against, what many would classify as the agendas of the left. I'm not surprised at all. And I think that most of these allegations will be bogus. The other problem I have with all this, Matt, and as someone that's gone through the criminal system yourself, I find it really crazy that crimes that were committed 20, 30 years ago, supposedly, allegedly, that there's that type of statute of limitations. I'm really starting to feel that because I think it used to be like 7 years before you had to report that type of crime if you were, a woman or a man or something like that happened to you. And
that you could be charged.
Yeah, that you could be charged. 20 years, 30 years. It really seems to me like they've shifted these laws. Now, I know some of it had to do with what happened in the church and all that stuff. They were giving them more time. People that were children that never came forward because of what happened to them from clergy and stuff like that. Big scandal just happened in the UK, by the way. You think that would be bigger news, that the Anglican Church bishop resigned for covering up what was happening, just like what happened in the Roman Catholic Church. But meanwhile, they're going to, galvanize this whole story here with him. I 100% believe Russell Brand his character is being assassinated. They're coming after him because his show is very Christian-like now. He's had, he's talked about a lot what's gone on since 2019 with the shutdown, with certain individuals on airplanes and islands and politicians and lists. And I think most of us can agree and probably do believe that there's nothing. These are just frivolous charges, just like they did with Andrew Tate, because he's still not convicted of anything. And this is breaking, man, as soon as I came here. But what do you think, man? I mean, his podcast is one of the top for, I guess you would call far-right audience.
Right. I mean, I've seen all of a 2-minute clip, so I'm an expert.
I have a question. Has this been going on? Like, has this something that the public has already known about? That's kind of.
Or is this the first time you've heard of it? Yeah. It's
not first time. They brought up some of this about a year ago, and he had to come out and say, listen, they're trying to attack me right now. I've never done anything inappropriate. I'm sure he's done things that are inappropriate. Let's be real.
Yeah.
This guy,
he's a drug addict.
If you don't remember him in MTV early 2000s, this guy was literally, you could tell he's not sober. He's on every drug there is, drinking. He had women all over him. He was married to Katy Perry for a while, who I think is nothing short of demonic, in my opinion. I think Katy Perry is so far gone demonic. I know you think I'm crazy for thinking that, but there's a lot to it.
I don't really know anything about Katy Perry, but
she made a song called "The Dark Horse," and in that song is basically a chant to Satan, literally to the devil himself. It's about black magic.
I thought she was a pop star.
She was a pop star. What's funny about her is her career started in gospel music. She was actually very spiritual, and there's even a video clip of her that if you guys go and search. She's being interviewed and she's like, they're asking like, well, why did you leave gospel? She's like, well, I guess I sold my soul to the devil. And she gives like this weird look. That song, The Dark Horse, is literally talking and singing and praising the demonic realm, Satan himself. Why? She's dressed like Pharaoh of ancient Egypt who practices black magic. And in the original version of the video, there's a man wearing one eye patch, which in Islam, they believe that the Antichrist will have only one eye, physically one eye. He'll have two eyes, but one eye's damaged in Islam's version of Armageddon, right? Okay. In this music video, if you guys all go watch it and listen to it, you'll see a man with an eye patch approaching her while she's on a throne impersonating the Pharaoh of Egypt, which is one of the most hated people spiritually by God, period, is Pharaoh. Because he's a man that said, I am God on earth, even though he saw the miracles that Moses brought, right? Make the story short, this man approaches in the video and she goes, I'm coming at you like a dark horse. And she goes like this, like, do you believe in magic? She's praising black magic, okay, in that video. She zaps this guy with the eye patch with black magic. Around his neck are a lot of gold chains and jewelry. One of the chains in the original edit of the video actually had the word Allah in Arabic on it. So she zaps this man, and he completely dissolves into sand. So the Muslims freeze frame and realize, why would they have the Allah chain, which we believe is universal word for God in Arabic, Aramaic, Hebrew. And again, I know this is off the tangent, but it's related to Russell Brand. I think part of the reason he left her is because I think he has become a reborn Christian.
Right. Well, he said it many, many times. So
he seems to have changed his song and dance. He seems a lot more humble. I think just a short while ago he did rebaptizing, right, to redeclare his faith. And I think that this man is, not proud of his past. I think he's, now the question comes, did he actually commit forceful acts? I've been around celebrities my whole life. Now, did he hang out with Diddy here and there? Yeah, he did. He went to a lot of Diddy events. But can we say for sure that he did? He didn't really have. Listen, brother, I've been in the nightlife my whole life. I'm friends with some of the biggest celebrities on earth, even right now. I'm friends with some of the biggest DJs in the world, okay? And these women throw themselves at them, bro. Like, I don't care anyone. They don't need to. I'm not saying that there hasn't been celebrities that have. But if we're just going surface level, brother, there's a line out there door every single time. I've been in the dressing room where they're literally just walking in, going into the bathroom of the dressing room, one girl at a time. I swear to God. And I would sit there and I would honestly, bro, I know some of my friends might laugh at me now, knowing me from when I was younger. And I was just so disgusted. It's like, because this person's famous, you just want to go and be demoralized, in my opinion, for a couple of minutes, literally in the floor of a bathroom of a dressing room, and then walk out, and you meant nothing to them. You meant zero to this celebrity. I don't get it. So from surface level, Russell Brand, in my opinion, never needed to physically assault or force any woman, because I promise you, and he was, considerably, very well dressed and famous and considered handsome. I don't think he needed, Matt, to forcefully grab a woman. What I got a problem with is this whole 20, 30 year thing. The 90s, what took you so long? And then people say, well, it took them. No, I think is the fact that he's very controversial now. He's talking against certain policies, agendas, free speech, all this stuff. The timing of it. I think people are not paying attention to the context of when these things are happening. This is 100% an assassination attempt on his character. And as far as the UK is concerned, they've already gone into Orwellian territory. Remember, these charges are from the UK.
And these allegations are 1999 to 2005.
Come on, bro. Come on. I'm asking you, as someone that's served in time and crimes and all that, do you think it's right 25 years later that you're coming for it? Really? How are you going to prove anything?
I think
it's your word against theirs.
Well,
there's no DNA. There's nothing.
Well, first of all, we don't know what there is. You don't know what there is. But I think, and I personally always have a problem when you accuse someone of something and the news comes out immediately and starts acting like you're guilty just because I've been accused. And it doesn't matter how many times DNA lets somebody out on death row or lets someone out who was arrested for some kind of a crime, against women 15 years later. And they went to trial. They've always said they didn't do it. The victim got on the stand and said, absolutely, he was the guy. And then 15 years later, the guy gets 20 years, 15 years later, the Innocence Project comes in with DNA that says, no, it wasn't him. And then the woman's like, God, I really thought it was him. Like that
destroyed his life. Right?
One of the worst, and I'm not blaming that woman necessarily, but you said 100% you were positive. You weren't 100% positive, or you were wrong. And the prosecutors should know, and they really do know. They know that eyewitness testimony is extremely questionable, right? Like, it doesn't matter. A guy can be 15 feet away. Your adrenaline spikes. You can't remember what this person looks like. It's dark.
It's this. Yeah. It's that. You're in danger. Maybe
2-3 seconds. You saw this person for 2-3 seconds. Even if it's one of these sexual allegations where the person was clearly there. You think, okay, well, they were there. They were there for spent 5 or 10 minutes with this person. Okay, but the DNA says it's not them. You insisted it was them. So that should let you know right there. And it's not like, oh yeah, there's 4 cases. No, there's hundreds of cases where this is untrue. And as soon as you're accused of something, the media jumps on it, especially if they don't like you. If the media dislikes someone, then they jump on it and they drive it home. And really almost, I don't even know if they realize this, but if that person now goes to trial, they've poisoned the jury pool. The jury pool's poison, and we've already seen that judges out there can't be trusted. You know, they're making up reasons to indict people. Or not indict people. Sorry, to find people guilty. And a judge can sway well, not only a jury, but they can sway a trial, right? So the problem is being accused of something that's 20. So that's one issue. The other issue for me is 25 years ago, bro. Dear God, please don't judge me based on my behavior 25 years ago. And I know that these women don't want to be judged on their behavior 25 years ago. Like nobody wants to be judged on their behavior as a 20-year-old or 25-year-old or whatever. Like the truth is that anybody in general is a completely different person in their 50s as they were in their 20s or their 40s. Like 25 years. That's why you have a statute of limitations, because you have a certain period of time to bring charges, and that person has changed, right? Even federally, in the federal court system, they'll say that they now have to take into consideration how someone has changed between the time that they committed the crime and the time they actually are sentenced. They may, sometimes it's years, 5, 10 years. They may have changed their entire life. You have to take that into consideration. So let's assume for a second, maybe he's partially guilty, right? If you said he was partially guilty, it's still 25 years. He's certainly not the same person he was. You can't throw this guy into prison for 5 or 10 or 15
No other
years.
charges, nothing ever done, no previous history.
Here's
probably.
the problem.
You know,
based on what? On 1 or 2 women's, their word alone, on their testimony alone. And keep in mind too, initially, let's say one of these women came forward 10 years ago, 15 years. Once he became a big time star, right? They came forward, and they don't want to do anything because it's your word against his. What may have happened is now they've got 3 or 4 women jumping on the bandwagon. You see what I'm saying? Because
Andrew Tate had a ton of them. Where are they?
Right. Well, that's the problem. When it all comes down to it and they start looking into it, the stories fall apart very quickly.
Let me ask you this, though. Do you not think that there are people who would weaponize these types of scenarios to try and silence opposition? Do you think that there's a chance that there can be people who are out there that would pay women to come forward and make these stories up just to try to rattle people that might be opposed to them politically? Would you rule that out?
What's the judge? I can't believe I used to know his name. He's a black judge on the Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas. What happened to Clarence Thomas? That woman, it was decades earlier. She never told anybody she ever had a problem. Suddenly, he's going to be placed on the bench. She's a liberal. He's a conservative. She decides to make up charges or make up allegations that he was inappropriate 25 years ago when they were at the same law firm or something. It's like, you never mentioned this at the time. You've never mentioned it since. Now you don't want this guy to be on the Supreme Court, and now you come up with these allegations. Didn't stop him. Almost did, by the way. He specifically said he thought many, many times about dropping out simply because of the allegations. I don't want to sit here and be judged based on this woman's word from something that she says happened 20 years ago, and I'm being grilled. And it's not just him. He probably could care less about him, right? Most guys are pretty much
family.
Yeah, I've got kids. I got a wife who's done nothing wrong. Now her friends are calling her. People are accusing her of things. They're saying that I'm this predator, and it's all because of some political affiliation or some political ideology, that we have a difference in ideology, and therefore you're going to attack me. You're going to make things up. It's like these idiots that are going around keying and kicking and setting on fire Teslas.
But they were loving them 5 years ago.
You loved him 5 or 10 years ago.
It's crazy.
Not just that. You're not hurting necessarily. I mean, not that the stock hasn't taken a dump, but you're kicking cars that are 90% owned by other liberals.
Probably by left, 100%. I don't own one. I would never buy one.
Like, it's just stupid.
It's just stupid. I don't even fit in a Tesla, bro. So the UK, in my opinion, has gone off the deep end. I hope that people of the UK...
It's the same thing. They're also charging Andrew Tate for the same type of thing that happened 15 years ago that you already decided you couldn't charge him with. But now you're charging him 15 years later. Whether it's true or not, come on, man. Like it's essentially...
It's pretty obvious, and I think all they're doing is making more and more people wake up, in my opinion, that if you speak out against what's coming, if you speak out against the system, they're coming after you with whatever they can. I truly believe this in Russell Brand's case. What I have a problem with is the UK.
But you know, they loved him. They loved him. They lived him 20 years ago, or 15, 20 years ago when he was completely left and a drug addict, when he was a complete scoundrel, right?
And he was a womanizer. I mean,
he was a
admits himself.
womanizer.
I mean,
and
listen, I was a
abusing
player.
drugs.
You know, sometimes I was a player. I was an honest player, though. I let them. I'm like, listen, don't fall in love with me. They probably look at me now like, how could I ever have been with this guy? Because, you know, I'm old now and fat. But, I mean, I was a pretty handsome young buck. I was very upfront with him. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, do not fall in love with me.
Yeah, but
Okay, I was ruthless.
It's irrelevant. If you became rich and famous, somebody's going to come out of the world.
100%. I'm waiting for him.
This guy did this. This guy did that.
He did this. He did
Right.
that.
Think about it. If you get, here's the thing too, and any defense attorney, any attorney will tell you, okay, that listen, and this is what they always.
And
do.
I'm not proud of my past.
And this
you know?
is what they always do.
Like you said, people change, right?
They want you to be charged because if I sue you, if I say you did something to me 5 years ago, you did something, and it's my word against yours, I go to a lawyer and they're like, look, man, I can sue him, but you know, I don't know, you know, and then you say, yeah, well, you know what, you know, my friend Tommy was there and he saw the whole thing, and so I've got some other circumstantial evidence, and they say, you know, if you could get him charged, now we've got a case. Because if I can get you charged and then you plead guilty and you get it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you just say I did it. Now, you can't get on the stand because they're going to say, you know, Mr. Lover, like I don't understand.
Oh, your name's Lover, huh?
Yeah.
You were forcing the love.
Okay. What are they going to say? Like, what can you say? I already pled guilty to it. I got probation. I pled guilty. Why? Well, why did you go to trial? If now you're saying you're innocent. Well, I pled guilty, but it's just because they were going to give me a year probation, and I was afraid if I went to trial, if I lost, it doesn't matter. You pled guilty. You have no defense. You can't get on the stand and say that. You cannot get on the stand because you're going to have to say you pled guilty. So did you lie to the court? Because the court doesn't accept pleas where you're not admitting that what you did was wrong. So you either lied to the federal court or you're lying now, or the state or federal, whatever. Either way, that's what they usually want to do. They press, they usually push. They have a weak case. They push for you to get charged in the state or the feds, so that even if you're charged and they drop it, they typically get to bring it up. Well, you were charged. Well, they dropped it out. Well, technicality, they dropped it. Now we're going civil. But what if you actually get found guilty? You're done.
You're going to jail.
You're done. And that's why they push so hard for charges.
So people will just settle. You know, like
They'll settle.
plea out.
Right.
So my problem too is, and then this goes out to all the people in the UK. UK has literally been, in my opinion, I'm never going there again, bro. Remember, they were trying to pass so they could charge me and you in America for giving opinions of what we think is going on in their country.
Right.
I would say we have an answer for that. It's called July 4th, 1776. You tyrannical, you know, Brits. Like, it's like crazy, man. They were locking people in their houses. Like, we live in such an upside down world where we can't question anything, man. We can't have debates about things. Like, we can't, like, this whole democracy thing is like that's why people are waking up. The Great Awakening is happening, Matt Cox. The Great Awakening is in full effect. And Russell Brand is one piece of that. You know, I'm not saying I agree with everything that people talk about. Candace Owens has brought a lot of attention to a lot of different topics that people were never paying attention to. Okay, Andrew Tate, Russell Brand, people like me. People like AJ out of Texas, right? We won't say his name. Okay. Info, you know what? Wars. Like that. Like there's been a lot of, okay. And I don't agree. I'm going to make this clear. I don't agree with everything or all of their thoughts.
I don't know anybody I agree with everything.
I truly don't believe in grouping all people into one. I don't care how evil some people are. There are extremists in every single faith, religion, creed, race, period. And to think that there's certain groups of people that we can't talk about and we get classified as, you know, we're full of hatred or anti this or anti that, if you know what I mean. I'm avoiding certain words. That's a freaking joke, bro. We should be able to criticize any government that we don't agree with. I had enough of our soldiers going overseas and fighting battles that do not benefit the American people. And a lot of that is related to stuff that Russell Brand talks about and all these other influencers. And the pendulum is swinging back the other way, and we're tired of it, man. Shame on the UK. Not because of Russell Brand. Shame on what you have done to your own citizens during the lockdowns. Shame on what you've done to free speech. Shame on you to even think you could try Americans or try to convict Americans because they speak out against your government. You're a joke. And with your past of colonization all across the world and encroaching on other people's free rights, you should be ashamed of yourselves. The world is watching you. Matt, welcome to the Great Awakening, brother. It's in full effect, man. And I'm excited that I'm on the front line. They're probably coming after you and me next.
And so I have a question. So being arrested, was Andrew Tate arrested for the same crime, but just not found guilty?
Yeah. No, same thing.
He was arrested
and thrown in jail.
He was arrested in
Romania.
And held. And by the way, they dropped all those charges. Now they've recharged him
again.
They've recharged him on. Well, I had I want to say Fit Myron. I had Myron from Fresh and Fit on, and he was telling me like they dropped all the charges.
He's another one that's in big trouble these days with these types of people coming after him, and he's very vocal about certain groups, right?
Right. So he's friends with Andrew. So
yeah,
I said, what's going on with that? So because I had actually said I wouldn't mind having Andrew Tate come on and say exactly what happened, like lay down the whole story. But because I knew that he had flown into Florida and they had dropped the charges, so he was allowed to leave. And I said, so they dropped the charges? And he goes, no, they dropped them, but they brought another case. And I go, what? He said, yeah, it's super weak. It's even weaker than the other one. He goes, they're just trying to hound him. He said, and it's so weak that the judge is like, you can go wherever you want. Just come back for the court cases. He's like, yeah. He's like, I didn't do anything. I don't mind coming back.
Here in America?
No, this is
in Romania.
Romania. So he flew in here, and this is another thing. This just kills me about. Oh God, what's our governor? DeSantis. This killed me when DeSantis was like he didn't want him here. It's like, bro, like DeSantis. Like it's funny because I love DeSantis, but
I did during the lockdowns. I don't like him anymore. But I think he's a snake now.
He says some stupid shit sometimes.
He's a globalist.
Like for instance, the whole well, we don't want someone like that. He's been charged. He hasn't been found guilty of anything.
I agree with you on that. It was ridiculous.
He was charged, and the charges are continuously dropped. These people never show up.
I think he's just doing it for clout.
Who?
Because
DeSantis?
Anything you talk about Tate is going viral around the world.
Yeah, but he also he likes to see, like one of the DeSantis's things are. It's like he's not thinking things through, or he's saying stuff to get attention. For one thing, he started saying he wants to charge all inmates so many dollars a day for and back. So if you did 10 years, he wants to now be able to go back and charge you with having been housed in prison, whatever, $2-3 a day for. Okay, wait a minute. Well, here's what I understand is that, do you have any fucking idea how hard it is to start your life over again? And so they say, oh, look at these guys, they're criminals. You just loaded them up with $80,000 in debt for doing crazy. 10 years or back? 20,000. What do you think's going to happen when these guys...
They're going to grab a handgun and try to go get the money.
They're going to go fucking rob a 7-Eleven. That's what he's going to do. What choice does he have? You guys are hounding him. You won't let him live anywhere. You won't give him a fucking job. You're telling me he owes $40,000 or $30,000 for doing time 10 years ago? Like, what the fuck are you doing? He can't vote?
That's absurd.
I can't vote in Florida. Did you know that? Even if I put in the paperwork, do you know in order for me to vote in Florida, DeSantis has to fucking sign off on it? He's not fucking signing off on anybody.
Hey, DeSantis, sign off on Matt Cox.
It's ridiculous.
Let him vote, man.
And I like DeSantis. That's the worst thing. I made a painting of him. I actually have a. Did you ever see the thing I got?
No.
You ever see? I got a whole. Let me get it.
Get it. Let's see. I gotta say, I'm impressed with Matt's artwork, man.
So do you think that like he's sitting in prison right now, or is he just gonna get checked in and then left?
I think he has to go back now because UK and the US have a very strong extradition policy
right now. Okay, he actually just posted a response.
What's the response?
Let's play this. Hold on. So I'm going to all right. So this is his response. I'm just going to pull it and show the camera and. You guys can.
He really does have a DeSantis painting. That's crazy.
Yeah. You can show the camera before we do this.
You really love this guy that much, huh? I loved him during 2019.
Look at these. I've got DeSantis paintings. come on.
Yeah, you gotta let him vote again, DeSantis, man.
All right, so I'm going to play this response.
Not that our votes count anyway.
I'm gonna play Russell Brand's response, and you guys.
He
can
just
react.
responded.
Oh, he responded.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play it. It's just gonna be on my camera with this mic, so we can hear it, and then we'll hear your guys' response. So here we are. 1 sec.
Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, who were just out of shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free. And we will be continuing to discuss this matter.
I really like him, bro.
Yeah,
I believe. Listen, I've been around Hollywood my whole life. He didn't have to force no one. They were throwing themselves out. That's number one. Number two, he said something very important there. How do you feel about your government, Brits? How do you feel about your government? Are you not worried more about Prince Andrew? The planes he used to take with a guy? The list that everyone was waiting for that was going to come from Trump. He's releasing the JFK files and the E list, you know? Rhymes with Nepstein. What a letdown, my friends. My friend, he's right. You all there that are worried about him, you should be worried about where Prince Andrew was and who he was with. And people like Cindy McCain should be tried and convicted of a crime right now. Cindy McCain's on record stating on C-SPAN, pull up the clip, bro, Colby, because I'm tired of this shit. Pull up the clip. You guys are worried about Russell Brand? You shouldn't be worried about Russell Brand. You should be worried about these people. You should be worried about Cindy McCain, John McCain's wife, who's on C-SPAN admitting to a crime in front of the whole world. We all knew what he was doing, but for whatever reason, nobody would go after him. I'm talking about the guy that had an island, the guy that supposedly offed himself in a maximum security prison, the same one that Diddy's in right now. A man who's connected to all the politicians from around the world. This is what people want the truth to, and we were let down by Donald Trump. He played you. I told you guys, no one's coming to save us. Only we can save each other. But people like Russell Brand, who had plenty of money and fame, didn't have to talk about these things. That's how I know he's innocent. If he had done things that are so bad, he'd be like, I don't want the attention. I got away with all this stuff. What would you do as a former criminal? If you got away with everything, would you want to bring attention to yourself talking about controversial things? I mean, you're kind of doing it now, but...
No, because I got caught.
Right or wrong?
I got caught for everything.
Why would you want to bring heat onto yourself? Ask yourself that question. Why would he want to go and talk about things that can either A, end him up in jail, or his life, or have him whacked, in my opinion, because I do believe in this dark force that controls the world, and people are waking up and realizing that there is much more to the world than we live in. And the world doesn't have to be as bad as it is. And all these wars, and all these conflicts, and all these chemicals in our food, and all these lines in the sky that you guys think, yeah, this just comes out of the airplane. No.
Chemtrails.
Pay attention to the skies. You just zapped our episode right there. I avoided. I could have said the word.
We know what we're doing. We're professionals.
Oh, actually, you do. I mean, shit. You started podcasting after me. You got like 20 times the followers. So, I'm with this guy, man. I really like what he's done. Cindy McCain, C-SPAN, admitted. We all knew what he was doing, but for whatever reason, we wouldn't go after him. You know, I looked up the law last week just to refresh my memory. It is a federal and a state statute law that if you know of abuse occurring, especially to a child, and you do not report it, you can be thrown into jail. She's admitting in front of the whole world, we all knew what he was doing. So that means you knew that he was going with minors. Yet none of you, including your husband, who almost became president of the United States of America, what could have made her husband so scared that they wouldn't go after him? We all knew what he was doing, but for whatever reason, nobody would go after him. Why would nobody go after him? Who was he really associated with? Was he a honeypot? You know, we're talking about the guy, his name starts with an E. He had his own island. Okay? He whacked himself,
Pretty
supposedly.
sure you could say Epstein.
We
We've said it many times. You can say Epstein.
Yeah.
That motherfucker, bro. Okay? That piece of shit. They said they all knew what he was doing. That's a fucking crime. She should be arrested. You're worried about Russell Brand? Okay, if you, and you said we all knew, your husband knew, that means who else knew? All of you should be charged for not reporting the crime. And what could have made one of the most powerful senators in American history scared to come forward? Now you tell me who's involved in that operation. That's all you need to know. For those of you that were let down by the Trump list and he released garbage, bro. But we know the fucking truth. We all know the truth, what happened. And you're worried about Russell Brand and Andrew Tate? We need to wake the fuck up, man.
Let's tie the bow on the Russell Brand and then get onto that.
Yeah.
I'm about to fucking...
So,
All right.
what are the predictions? Like, what do you think happens from this point?
I think
him?
nothing happens, man. I think it's the same shit. Andrew Tate, bogus.
You're hiding
Andrew
behind.
Tate. I think the same shit, man. Bogus charges. I always drive Matt crazy, man.
Yeah, what? I specifically said
ADHD,
don't hide
I know.
behind the... Don't hide behind
Because my first thought is, I hear he's convicted, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to jail, and he's sitting in jail, and no one's going to
he's
sue
out.
him. So clearly he's out.
Yeah, their bail. They have very liberal bail laws.
It's character assassination.
It's the
man.
same thing like in San Francisco. You can go fucking rob a place, get charged, and walk
On
right
video.
out. Walk right
Assault
out.
someone.
You could in New York. You see these guys. They can assault people.
That's another thing. Eric Adams.
They walk right out.
That's another thing. Look at Eric Adams. These people have no spines, bro. And those of you that fall for their political ideology, whether left or right, if you think there's any good on left or right, you're a clown. Okay? You're not at the highest level of the Great Awakening. Okay? If you still believe in Democrat, Republican, donkey, elephant, you idiots, man. These people will say whatever to have power, to control us. Look at Eric Adams. I want to welcome all the migrants to New York City. Welcome. The minute he says one thing against his crew, they want to throw his ass in jail. They open an investigation.
They're like 3 months later, when they're running out of money, he says these
Billions of dollars, bro.
Immigrants are destroying our city. Within months, boom, charges.
Bro, there's people that got shot and killed right down the park where I hang out all the time. Migrants did it, bro. That's a fact. So what an upside down clown world we're living in. And then what does he do? He goes and kisses Trump's ass like, please, Trump, I want to go to jail. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Please. And guess what? Everything gets thrown out. He's back. He's talking about now, this is yesterday, we should open up an 11. We're going to open up an 11 in New York City. Yeah, we need to open up a strip club, nightclub in Times Square that stays open 24 hours because that's really helping New York City right now.
Well, isn't he going to run again? Only now he's saying he's going to run as an independent.
Listen, so far he survived, right? But my point is they talk about congestion pricing. They've added a $9 toll on top of a $17 toll. Just call the toll what it is, you assholes. It's a $26 toll to get into Midtown Manhattan. You have created two classes of people in New York City. Those that can afford to drive and those that can no longer afford to. You are creating a Hunger Games society right under our noses. They talk about congestion, Matt Cox, yet they took avenues like 8th Avenue that had 5 lanes and have made them effectively one fucking lane. Of course you're going to have congestion. These people are fucking clowns. And I love all the people. I swear to God, Matt, it's on video. If Colby wants to re-edit this later into a reel, it'll go viral to remind these idiots in New York City. They were like this clapping when they were announcing. Governor Hochul of New York was announcing, look, we're doing congestion pricing. It's going to be good for you. And the poor people are like, yeah, that's going to be good. And they're clapping because there's going to be less cars and traffic. No, there's more cars and traffic. Guess who got hit with all that? The people riding the subway. The people riding the buses, because there's less cars going into Manhattan now because they can't afford these tolls. So where are they going to make up the extra money? On the subways and the buses, you fucking simple-minded motherfuckers, bro. You fucking idiots that have allowed our city to be turned upside down. Eric Adams should be thrown out of office, though, for even playing these types of games. And this is all because of people like Russell Brand trying to point it out. That's why they arrested him. Fuck him and fuck the Diaz brothers, too.
So with the charges, like
Who are the
Scarface reference, man. Fuck Esparza Gomez and fuck the fucking Diaz brothers.
So when these guys get charged federally in the States, usually it's like everything's all wrapped up and they're pretty much done. But is that not the case with with people in the UK?
Who knows, man? They're weird over there.
When we have people on the show and they're like they get arrested by the feds.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much it's over. It's pretty
not.
much over.
Is that not the same case?
I don't. I don't know. I'm assuming they have they have a very similar system to ours. But the problem with any of those systems is it doesn't really apply to you and me and Bek, although I don't know what his financial status is. But to someone who's ultra rich, that's a problem. Because if you're ultra rich, you can level the playing field. Do you understand? Like right now, if I get arrested for something, I have no money to hire an attorney. Even if I do, I'd have to dump $500,000. Because keep in mind too that the U.S. Attorney's Office, they'll put 6 people on your case. They have unlimited budgets to put people on your case to try you, and they give me a federal defender that they say, oh, he's going to trial. Okay, for you to represent him, here's $15,000. You're like, $15,000? That's not an adequate defense. You guys have 5 lawyers. And you can hire anybody you want. You can hire investigators. You can do anything you want. You've got a whole pool of guys in prison right now that are willing to get on the stand and say that I did it. Like you have the police force, everything. You gave $15,000 to a public defender to represent me. Like that's not even. But see, someone like let's say it's the same type of system in the UK. I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that they have trials and in front of juries, and I think typically it's a judge, but regardless. So let's say they have the same system where somebody can't afford it, they give you an attorney. Well, Russell Brand, he can spend $500,000. He can spend $1 million to get his own team, right? Like, let's face it, O.J. Simpson's guilty as hell. He butchered those people, but he was able to put together a dream team that suddenly the state, they were matched and they lost. Well, Russell Brand will be able to do that. Even if it goes to trial, what do you think they're going to put 4 girls on the stand? They're going to go through all their data, all their emails, all their friends, all the things that they've done, and they're going to end up scouring these women's lives. And before you know it, several of them are going to drop out and say, I don't want to testify.
I don't want to deal with this. Yeah.
And then maybe 2 more might come up and they're going to read text messages between their friends saying, oh, I'm going to make millions. We're going to get him. I got a bunch of other girls that are going to say the same thing. We're going to sue him civilly. We're going to get $100 million. Fuck him. And that's the kind of thing that's going to come out. And then they're going to be on the stand crying, oh, I did say that, but I didn't mean it. And he did do this and do that. It's like, okay, but you can't believe you now, even if it's true. And I'm not saying I don't know what happened. What I do know is that it's going to be an equal playing field. What they're hoping is, look, Russell, it's 25 years ago. You could do 2 years probation. It'll be easy. You don't have to go to jail.
That's their crack shot. That's what they're hoping he'll do.
Right.
He's stupid if he takes that.
Because then he takes the deal.
And now he's tarnished.
He's tarnished. He can't get up. He can say, well, I took the deal because I was scared. And the media will destroy him.
And people will doubt him too.
Right. And people won't want him on their show. Why? You're convicted. You're a, you did this. Like you said you
you're
did
a toucher.
This.
We'll call them touchers from now on.
Yeah,
we're going to get rid of the R. Me and you're going to create a word for all of YouTube from now on. Whenever we are talking about physical crimes against women, we will call them touchers.
Touchers?
Yeah.
You're a toucher.
You're a toucher.
You forcibly did this and forcibly did that. And it's horrible.
Touchers.
You're a horrible person.
We're coming for you. I was with Chris Hansen. I was with Chris Hansen last week. Shout out.
He's coming on the show soon.
Who?
Chris Hansen.
Yeah, dude, you have him to go.
Tyler.
He
said
I know you guys are talking, really?
Yeah.
Shout out to Tyler. I know you're watching this.
So, just so we can end this video and get it out quickly, you guys both predict that he's going
to walk out of
25 years. It's 25 years old. He's not going to be found guilty. He's 25 years old.
Character assassination.
Yeah.
All right. And if you want to see the rest of this episode covering these other topics, stay tuned. It'll be out soon.